trip. We have 2 hotel rooms. The first room had the roomies, Tommy, Avery, Lynn, Tony, and Kino. And then the other hotel room had the VTubers, Sho, Yuzu, Yusan, and Michi. There was a couple single beds and then one big bed. And then Michi was like, yeah, you want to share a bed? The way that she was telling me about this was like, because there were no other beds, we should share the bed together. And that is like pretty much what she said. She's like, yeah, I like, and I'm like, I don't really like to, be near people. I don't want to blah, blah, blah. So me hearing this and wanting to not make her uncomfortable when she kept saying this and bringing it up over and over and over again, I said, oh, okay, well, this is a really good thing because the other hotel room, there's enough beds for everybody. And so for this whole trip, I was staying with my roommates in the other hotel room. My reason for this was literally because she just kept telling me that she doesn't want to be near people unless she's 100% comfortable with them. And I said, no, that's so fair because we just met and I don't want you to be uncomfortable. So the way that I decided to put this together is we left on the 19th. We got there on the 21st of May. I was going to be with my roommates until the 24th. And then after that, I was supposed to switch to the other hotel room to stay with the VTubers. But because of circumstances I will be bringing up later, I didn't end up actually staying with them until the night before they left. This was Lynn's bed. This was my bed, Hami's bed, and then Avery's bed. And then when I went to see like Michi, Yuzu, Sho, and Yusan's room, they had like 2 big beds on one room. And then the big room here had the giant king bed that was supposed to be Michi and then me, and then one bed for Yusan, right? And then Yuzu, Sho. Yeah, but it didn't work out. This was the first time I got to meet Michi, and she was extremely embarrassed because she was either zooted or drunk. I don't remember which of the two. This was how it went when I like met them. Sho was just in his own room. Michi was also just in her own room. She was like zooted and he was drunk or some he was just really tired from the jet lag, and so was Yuzu. And then we come in and we're like, hey. Michi just kind of like looked at me and like didn't say anything. It was me being like, Michi, and then she was like that. She didn't look that concerned. It was more like a straight, like just there. She was like, ah. And I was like, oh. Okay, so all right, she's got to be shy or nervous. Yeah, that's got to be it. Did not say like anything when we first met, and then I gave her a handshake because I did not know what to make of how she was acting. She doesn't seem as excited as I am to see her, and so I gave her a handshake, and then we went into the other room while Yuzu was unpacking. Sho gave me a bear hug as always. Imagine, I'm like, Sho! I give Sho a huge hug. I turned into Michi's looking at me silently, and then we shake hands, and she just looked a little confused. And then after, I think she gave me a small awkward hug, I guess. And I said, all right, so that's the most physical contact we will have this whole trip. She probably seems uncomfortable with me. Remember, guys, I take things very, very literally. Me being like, oh, okay, she wants to share a bed because there are no extra beds. This is my first time meeting her. She seems very distant and needs to warm up to me, so I will not sleep with her in the bed because I don't want to make her uncomfortable, right? And yeah, this is what I was like. Finally met Michi. We shook hands 2 times. And then Yuzu comes back, and then Yuzu looks and says like, wait, you're Michi? Oh my God, you're so pretty. What the fuck? And then I said, oh, thank God. I was so excited because Yuzu opened up that conversation because then I could talk about Michi. So right after Yuzu said that, Michi was like, okay, I'm going to bed. She just got up and then she left. And so I am going off all of our interactions at that point. And I said, okay, maybe I should just stay in my own bed because it's obvious she is very, very shy and I don't want to overwhelm her. We went on this nice, beautiful cruise and saw these beautiful temples, and it was just really, just so gorgeous. This was also a very pivotal night for me because Michi chose to sit next to me on the ride back home from the mall. And I was like, oh my God, she chose me, guys. I was talking, we were all like hanging out in Michi's room that night. All of us were. We were just hanging out. And then this was the day that the cover with Michi came out. So we were watching it together, everybody. We were all hanging out and having a great time together. So we're all getting ready to go to bed. And at this point, it was past the 24th, which was like me switching to going to sleep over with the VTubers. And I'm like, all right, I guess I'm gonna like stay with them. And then Michi's just like, okay, good night, bye. And so I said, okay, I guess she doesn't wanna share the bed. Yeah, you're right. I tucked Yuzu into bed and kissed her forehead. And then I walked over to the room. Because, okay, and then there was another night where I tried like, oh wait, yeah, it was when Sho was drunk and I went back to the room with him because I was gonna sleep over there. And then Michi just fell asleep already and took up the whole bed. And I said, okay, well, next time then. Because she's like, yeah, when you come up here, blah, blah, blah. I said, okay. And then I go up, she's dead, sprawled out on the bed. And I said, yep, well, you know what? Yeah, cool. All right. And I didn't want to disturb her. People can say like, you should have, but honestly, I'm not the kind of person that would do that if they're sleeping. And she looked really cute and cozy. And so I said, okay, well, maybe next time, or maybe she really doesn't want to just room with me because she was not giving signs. The next day, the day that we were getting tattoos, Yusan's tattoo took around 5 hours. So it was just me on Michi's lap for like 5 hours and we were just talking the whole entire time. I got really mad because I said, wow, wish Michi lived next door because she gets along with me so fucking well and likes everything that I like. And then you know what she fucking decides to tell me this day? She says, I actually don't like sleeping alone. And I just looked at her and I said, this would have been good for you to say 4 fucking days ago, 5 fucking days ago. And she was like, well, I just, I didn't want to like get in the way of you and your roommates. I'm like, they're my roommates. I fucking live with them. I can see them anytime. And she said, well, I just really wanted to like, and I didn't want to say it. Like, I didn't want to be overbearing. I said, I the whole time thought you didn't want to because you were so like every time that I tried, you were not giving me any signs and you didn't say anything. And she's like, well, I was actually really sad because you never slept over. And I'm like, and why didn't you tell me this before? And she's like, well, because I didn't want to intrude. And then Yusan's just sitting there. And I'm like, Yusan, do you hear this, bitch? I'm like, Yusan. She was like, and then like Michi was like, oh my God. Then she was in, but you said you were going to come over on the 24th. And on the 24th, I was waiting. I was like, you were sleeping and you're sprawled on the bed. Her saying she thought I hated her on the last Michi also thought that Yuzu hated her and she waited to tell Yuzu on the last day. And so it's like I literally had to put her to sleep like 2 times. Didn't you like brush her teeth for her? Scratching her back until she fell asleep. Her the whole time being like, wow, is this Yuzu's way of bullying me because she hates me? I said, why would you wait? She's like, well, at least we know now. I said, I'm gonna kill you, brother. I'm gonna kill you if I have to it. And then I'm just trying to yell at Yusan with this. I said, Yusan, isn't this crazy? Yusan was like, yeah, but also you guys are really cute. And I said, that is that is very kind of you to say, but not what I wanted to hear. Like, this was the day before they left, yes. So then we get into the Grab to drive back home. We're sitting with our heads rested against each other on the drive home. And she was like, I wanted to cry. She's like, Numi, can you please sleep with me tonight? I was like, yeah, I mean, you literally could have just said something the whole fucking time. But she's like, can you please? I don't want to be alone. She's like, I didn't want to sleep with anybody but you for the whole time. And I said, you wait till the day before. And so I said, all right, better late than ever, whatever. And then, and guys, this felt like a divine test from God himself this night. Yuzu in Sho's room was the more ideal temperature for me. Yuzu is dying in that room, by the way, because she can't handle the cold. Michi prefers the heat. She did not tell me that she didn't turn on the AC that night. You guys know that I can't sleep in warm temperatures. So I get into the room and I was like, holy fuck. Michi went to like take a shower and I was just talking to Yusan because Yusan's bed was right next to me. And then I started to fall asleep. But it was so hot. I just didn't even really have the blanket on me because I was already dying. I was just already not doing very well. And then You guys know about how we said we would put a couch between us when we were sleeping? I like fall asleep and then like I wake up to her being like, good night. And I was like, and then I'm facing away from her because I can only really sleep on like my right side. I was barely awake at this point. And I feel something touch my back. I feel a little grumpy at this point because it's like I woke up a little bit and I was in and out of consciousness. I kind of turned over my shoulder. I turned around and I saw these eyes looking at me with a pillow that she put between us. She's like, this is what you wanted, right? I just look at her like, brother, come the on. And I don't remember, but I think it pissed me off so bad that she did that I just like grabbed the pillow and chucked it across the room. Bro, she's looking at you like this. She's like, this is what you wanted, right? I threw that shit and I said, you don't need to do that. Don't do that. And then she let out the cutest, happiest squeal and immediately attaches to my back. I don't do well with body heat because I get warm super easy. So it was that and then no AC. It was like I woke up. It was almost 80 degrees in the hotel room. And I woke up, had the worst sleep of my life. Worst sleep of my life. Yep, it was horrible. That's how you know I really love Michi because I like, when I felt that wave of heat hit me, I said, this is for the sake of love and friendship. I'm doing this for her. I'm doing this for her. And then I just tried my best to force myself asleep because at that point I was wide awake because I was so hot. And then in the morning, she's like, well, it wasn't that bad. She said, oh, it seems I forgot to turn on the AC. And I just look at her. I said, so you wanted me to die. So you wanted revenge on me. She's like, no, I just forgot, but it wasn't that bad. I thought it was perfect. I said, Yusan, please tell me you thought it was hot. And then Michi was like, no, like, come on, Yusan, tell her it wasn't bad. And then they just looked at Michi and said, no, it was really bad. Guys, it felt like when it's 100 degrees and then there is a fan on, but you know, like that smelly fan smell, that's what it felt like in that hotel room. There's no worse feeling than sleeping too hot. I think I woke up like drenched in my own sweat. It was horrible and I felt so bad. That's why I didn't take off the blanket because I didn't want her to feel my sweat. I said, I will suffer for her comfortable night. Like, I will do what it needs to be done. So then she turned on the AC. Like, then she turned on the AC in the morning when it was already too late and she was already leaving that day. And yeah, after that, Yuju was setting up for her sponsor stream. And then I was on my little twin bed. And then Michi came on into the bed. And then the way that we were cuddling in the nice temperature, I said, wow, it could have been like this. It wouldn't have been me like trying to social distance in the bed because of how hot I felt. It could have been us actually cuddling, if not for the fact that she tried to assassinate me. Like, bro, was no one else capable of turning on the AC in that room but Michi? Oh no, I could have. She's like, why didn't you just turn on the AC? I said, I didn't want you to be uncomfortable. So I didn't touch it. And then she told me when we were texting yesterday that she actually brought warm pajama pants because she was ready to sleep in a cold climate with me. And I said, oh, cool. You decided to not mention that to me. Yeah, okay, cool. So you really did try to kill me then. That's great. And she's like, well, at least we know now. I said, shut the fuck up, bro. Like, shut the fuck up. But yeah, that day, the day that she was leaving, we were like very much attached to each other. And I said, wow, so funny how this would have been like that if we just said something. So I cried. I cried when I said goodbye. Did Michi cry? No. Michi hates me, bro. She tried to kill me the night before. What do you mean, bro? I'm definitely the she fell first, the other fell harder type beat, except she didn't fall for me. It was just me being very attached because when I like somebody, I'm like obsessed with them. I was like hugging her and like crying in the lobby, and then her mom walked by and I was like, I love your daughter. Her mom was like, oh, she loves you too. And then I was like, ah!